All right, we move further. Governments of neighboring Syria are implementing measures to prevent contact with Syria as the situation in the region continues to deteriorate. Following the advances by rebel forces, neighboring nations have taken decisive actions to secure their own borders. They've been sealed. Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey, they've sealed their borders, limiting movement to essential crossings only. Jordan has closed its Jabr border crossing, that is the only operational crossing with Syria. The Jordanian Interior Minister said while Jordanian nationals and trucks will be permitted to return home, all outgoing traffic to Syria will be prohibited. This closure is especially important for Jordan, that has been majorly impacted by the large number of Syrian refugees since the civil war began in 2011. Now, Lebanon has closed most of its land border crossings with Syria, allowing only limited access through the Masna crossing, which remains open primarily for Syrian nationals. And this decision was made in response to repeated Israeli airstrikes in the region. Turkey, on the other hand, has sealed its borders to prevent potential infiltration by militants while actively supporting opposition forces in northern Syria. The Turkish government is particularly concerned about the establishment of a Kurdish autonomous region along its border that it views as a direct threat to its national security. And additionally, both Israel and Turkey have increased their military readiness along their borders with Syria to deter potential threats. Meanwhile, US President-elect Donald Trump has made it clear that he intends to distance the United States from any kind of involvement in Syria's protracted civil war. In a recent social media post, Trump stated that Syria is a disaster, but it is not our ally, quote unquote, stressing that the US should have no involvement in the conflict. On the other hand, French President Emmanuel Macron expressed his support for the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime. In a social media post, he stated that the barbaric state has fallen at last, quote unquote. He also paid tribute to the Syrian people for their courage and patience during the long conflict. The UAE, a key player in the region, has expressed concern over the situation. UAE has put out that they are extremely worried about extremism and chaos in Syria.
Now, there was a major failure, basically, in politics and policy, because Assad did not really use the sort of lifeline that was thrown to him by various Arab countries, including the UAE, and did not really use that to open up, to move on the constitutional discussions that were taking place, and at the same time also overtures to try and open up with Turkey.
According to sources, India has reacted to the rising violence in Syria by stating that the Indian embassy in Damascus remains operational and that all Indian nationals are safe. The Indian government has assured that the embassy is available to assist Indian citizens in Syria during this tumultuous period. All right, there's more to discuss on this. Our assistant editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, joins me on the phone line. He's joining me from New Delhi. Siddhant, India urged citizens in Syria to leave at the earliest earlier as rebels were advancing and issued stringent travel advisories as well. And as of now, of course, now the statement comes in that the consulate will remain very much active in the region and it is in touch with the Indian nationals over there. Where do things stand as of now? And also, if you can give us an understanding of how many Indian nationals are there in Syria?
The 90 Indian nationals, and the Indian Ministry of External Affairs on Friday has reacted to the developments, basically talking about the presence of the Indians in Syria and, of course, the fact that India has an embassy. It's a functional embassy with a functional ambassador who, of course, have been taking care of the Indians. There is a helpline number that India has issued. But largely for India, there are three key worries. One, of course, is the fact that now the rebels who have taken charge in Syria are someone who had linkages with the Al-Qaeda. So India's worries on terrorism will increase. India, of course, hasn't publicly talked about it. The second, of course, is the India-Middle East-Europe corridor. It is something that was launched with much fanfare last year at the G20 summit. But while its eastern flank, that's India, UAE, is working very well, the western flank faces difficulty, whether it's the Lebanon crisis, the Gaza crisis, or now the Syria crisis. The third, of course, the larger instability in West Asia, where India has large Indian diaspora, whether it's Lebanon, whether it is Iran, whether it's Israel. Of course, 90 Indian nationals, many of them working for international organization in Syria, is very less. But India had good relationship with President Assad. In fact, President Assad had given an interview to WION in 2017 and talked about how terrorism is a challenge for both India and Syria. So someone India had good relationship is no longer there. We have a new entity there whose context is related to Al-Qaeda. So that is something that raises alarm bells not only in West Asia but beyond as well.
Key concerns there for India. Thanks, Siddhant, for summing all of that up. Very pertinent points made by Siddhant Sibal, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, getting us the latest.